Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat.
And this is the fake ass
starting.
book club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Oh God. I wasn't
We
ready.
slide up in that like, yeah. Damn, what's up, y'all?
Let me get it together.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back, guys. This is the Fake Ass Book Club, and this is your girl, Moni.
Hi, Moni. This is Kat.
Yay!
I'm
we're
actually not your
back.
girl. I'm not your girl. I'm not your girl.
I'm not your
homie.
girl.
I'm not your
Listen
girl.
here,
Not your partner.
goddamn
Not
it.
your...
Listen here. It's just a matter of speaking.
Not the title you have
I don't know y'all, and y'all know me, but it's all good. So we're gonna keep it.
No,
we're
I'm
gonna
here
keep
for
it
you.
cute
This
though.
is
It's all
Kat.
good. Kat, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I am excited as well, Moni. I've been here. This is the thing, listeners. Like, it's hard because when we're reading these books and going through this stuff, I want to be talking about it, but if I try to talk about it, Moni's like, "Shut up and say
Shut
the
the hell up.
podcast."
Stop talking to me. Go away. We can talk about it
So
on.
I'm bursting at the seams.
Oh my
I'm so ready to talk
goodness.
about so many things.
I know we really haven't had any real catch up.
That's true.
So before we do that though, let's go
Okay.
ahead and talk about the book that we are
Okay.
going to read this week.
Okay.
Which
What's it called?
happens
What's
to
it
be
called?
The Water Dancer.
Yes, The
Yay!
Water Dancer. It was once again, this was one of Oprah's picks. I mean, it was
Okay.
recommended to me by a mutual friend.
Okay.
And Oprah said it was one of the best books she's ever read. It's by Mr. Ta-Nehisi Coates. I
We
say it
said it together.
That was
Yay,
nice.
that was
We're
cute.
vibing today, though.
We
like
are
we
vibing.
didn't even plan this. Like we're totally on the same vibes today, listeners. You can't
are.
see us,
Denim
but
and
just
black,
know.
the
Just know
slides.
that, like, when I saw it, I was like, wow, just the vibes. It's so real.
Oh man,
But like I'm excited to talk about it.
I am too. And this is
And to get your thoughts on it, because this was a thinker.
Yeah, this is fun. So Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote this book, and let's do sort of a movie trailer statement, okay? This is a
Sure,
cute little blurb here.
Sure. You got it?
I think I got it. And if this is not sufficient, then you can do one. I mean, I don't know.
Nah, it's probably
This is good. Okay, fine. Okay, cue the music. Set in Virginia in the late 19th century, the protagonist, Hiram, is born into slavery, one of the tasked. After almost drowning in a river, he discovers a power that saves his life and will make him a target to be saved from the coffin of the South and enlisted as a conductor of the Underground Railroad.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun.
There was a lot of espionage.
Yes, it was. And I'm excited to talk about this book because it is I think this is his first actual like fictional novel that he wrote that I know of that wasn't like his graphic stuff. Like I know he does some stuff with
Right. And just like nonfiction stuff, like he's made a case for reparations.
Wait, what
and-
did I say it wrong?
What, the graphic novel?
Fiction and nonfiction. I might have gotten them mixed up.
Well, this is fiction for
Right,
real.
this is fiction. That's what I mean. So this is like one of his first novels, like a full out novel.
I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
I feel like
We're not journalists, but that's
seems
what I
right.
think.
That feels right,
You guys-
and I'm going to go with it because I
Let's-
don't want to push back against it.
Yeah. Well, listen, if I am incorrect, I mean, understand this isn't a news show.
But yeah, I
You can
mean,
Google
he's
it yourself.
famous.
He is
Like,
famous.
He's been
definitely
around.
famous. And
He's
let's
friends
see.
with Oprah.
He is friends with Oprah. And I think that was one of his first works, The Case for Reparations. I know that he wrote, are they considered op-eds, like the ones that he's written, like The Case for Reparations and stuff like that? Or are these
I
full
think
out?
iPads are something that
Your
appears in
opinion.
like the newspaper.
Well, he wrote for The Atlantic. And
Okay.
for a while.
Like
so.
there's an op-ed section, but I mean,
Well,
I
we'll
don't
just
know what
say
the word is for
the-
what
whatever
he made a
the word
case.
is.
He made a definite
made a
case
fantastic
for
case.
reparations. I've
It
been
was
saying
very
it for
good.
years, but
Have you read that?
nope.
You need to. It's really, really good. He
But
does a
okay,
really good
we'll
job.
get into
We can get
why
into
I
that.
haven't
Okay, that's-
later.
Listen, we'll talk about put a pin in it.
I'll put a pin in it.
We'll come back to that. But anyway, it was one of the first things that I had read that he'd written. And
Sure.
a little bit about Ta-Nehisi Coates. Wow.
It's a name. He's got a real
Listen,
one.
first of all, it's not that hard to
And
say.
you know what
that
I
I'm
said
totally
before? Like, I
dyslexic.
could just call him Mr. Coates
My God,
because I
Mr.
don't know
Coates.
him. Like, calling him by his first name is a little familiar.
Sir, out of respect for you, just my apologies.
So, Mr.
okay?
Coates, I'm a big admirer of a lot of his work, though. I haven't
Jeez.
consumed all of it, but everything that I have consumed of his shows that he's a very talented and thoughtful person.
He definitely is. And so just let me see if I can find a little blue.
At least when it comes to his work. Like,
I
if
don't
he
know
gets
this
Me
man.
Too'd or something, it's like...
Don't come for me.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm just talking about the stuff he wrote down.
Exactly. That's all I know about. I barely know what's going on most days. So let's see.
And just for clarification, he hasn't been Me Too'd. He seems like he's above board. So
I hope so.
I'm
God.
just saying.
I hope so. But it says that he's best known as a writer of nonfiction, including Between a World and Me and we were 8 years in power. But with this new novel and his work on the Black Panther comic series, he's straying into speculative fiction. So yeah, that just kind of reinforces what I was saying.
Ooh,
before
I want to read a Black Panthers comic book.
That would be okay. We can read a comic book. I know you had just mentioned that would be something you'd like.
I did. Well, because it's something, because we talked about doing something shorter form. So if we read something shorter form, we could record something shorter form. But that's not what we're here today.
No, we'll get back to that too. Put a pin in that one as well.
All right.
But yeah, so that just kind of gives you a little, and he's highly decorated. Like he's got lots of accolades and stuff.
Legit.
And so he's out here in these streets, guys. So just trust us on this one. But this book was about 416 pages from what I looked up. I don't know if you have something different.
I had my sources said 407.
Look
so
at
it
that.
depends on what you count.
See? That's true.
So like, do you count prologues? Do you count bibliography? Do you count summary? What do you count?
It's somewhere in there.
It's somewhere in there.
400 pages, guys. And so as usual, I listened.
I did as well. It was 14 hours and 14 minutes.
That was a doozy.
And I think the little bit we did share about our experiences before the podcast, we both sped it up.
Yes.
Like there is a setting on Audible where you can do it. Like you don't want to do it too fast because then it gets weird.
Yeah,
I think I did mine at like 1.2 or something like that just to speed it up a little.
1.2 or 3, it was just like right before it got weird, sounding like chipmunks. Chipmunks.
Because then it's like silly.
Yeah. The subject matter's not very silly, so it would be
it doesn't lend itself to anything absurd.
Oh my
but
gosh.
Also just because...
What? So, just because what? You trailed off, friend. Finish your thought.
I'm going to let you lead this one.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So it was set mostly in the South, the early-ish 19th century, late 19th century.
I just put pre-Civil War.
And it was...
I put Virginia pre-Civil War.
Definitely in the South, American
but
slavey
it's like
South.
on the decline.
Slavey South.
Yeah.
Slavery's kind of going out in a way. And the main character, Hiram, is, he's biracial. His dad, of course, is a plantation owner. And it's just sort of him losing memory of his mom. I guess he lost his mom when he was really young, but he has this knack for memory. He doesn't forget anything ever. But the one thing he can't remember...
That was an irony.
That is irony. That is ironic.
Just so people, because people use the word irony all the time wrong.
Okay, wait. What can we do right here? We need a sound effect where you're correcting people about their lives.
Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong.
It's like fact check
it's something
number
that
one.
bothers
Ding.
me. Like people talk about ironic stuff like when it's a coincidence. That's not what irony means. Irony is an opposite.
Yes.
So our main character he almost has photographic memory, but for some reason he cannot remember anything about his mother.
Yeah,
so
which
that is irony.
It's super ironic. It's like, wait, so you remember everything, but you don't remember your own mama.
I'm really like one of the most important people in your life. You have no memories of her or what happened to her.
Yeah, which is
we'll get
nuts.
there, listeners.
Yeah, so and this is one day when Hiram was driving across a bridge, he has a sudden vision of his mother dancing before he understands what's happening. The carriage is in the water and his brother drowns and he's transported to safety. So you do have some sort of like magical elements or, like almost superhero-like. Like you have some teleportation thing. I think when I was reading before it said conductor. Mm-hmm. Like the idea of conduction in this book is sort of a play on transportation. Not like a bus,
I get that.
Superpowers.
Like I put it as a water baptism.
Ooh.
Because after he escapes this sort of disaster that killed his brother. And it was a perfect illustration about how not wanting to do work weakens you. Because the only reason he was able to survive this disaster was because of like everything he had to do to be strong, to serve his brother, to survive his situation. Like he learned how to swim. His brother was too lazy to learn how to swim and he drowned.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I just thought we didn't even dedicate this episode.
Oh, let's go back.
Tripping.
We are.
Listen here, we were
let's
so
go back
excited
I have
to
a
talk to each
dedication.
other.
I know, right?
Oh my
we're all out of
gosh.
order.
Forgive us, guys. We're going to go back.
No, we're not even going to apologize. We're going to act like we did it. I'm going to cut it and put it original, put it ahead and like we did it on purpose. So this part won't even exist.
I like it.
So dedications.
Yes.
Moni, who are you dedicating this to?
So yeah, before we get into it, guys, we like to start each episode with a quick dedication. As always, we're going to dedicate this to our listeners. Shout out to you. And then also I wanted to dedicate this for anybody dealing with addiction. I know recently I don't know when this will actually air, but Michael K. Williams, best known probably for, what would you say? You know
For
who the
me,
best
it was
were? 'Cause I know
Lovecraft
everybody-
Country.
Okay.
But I haven't seen The Wire. I'm actually going to go back and watch
is what
The
I was
Wire
gonna
this
say.
week.
The Wire was so
because
good.
I didn't have HBO when The Wire was out.
Fair.
So, and I've never gone back and watched it. I know like Idris Elba is in
Man,
it and
it's
stuff like that.
It's a classic.
And MKW is in it. And he was very good at his craft. And I know him from Lovecraft Country because he was amazing in that.
So I just felt like I needed to say that because I know there's a lot of people out here dealing with addiction. I know there's a lot of people who are affected by it, who've lost people they love. And it's just hard all the way around. And so like, I don't know this man. I did admire his work, but my heart goes out to his family, his friends, anybody who loved or, was touched by his life and or death. So I just want to shout out to you guys dealing with that and the families and just want to send out love. So yeah, that's my dedication for this one.
That dedication because wow.
Yeah.
My dedication was Tina Turner.
Let's go, Tina. Big wheels keep on turning.
Because you're talking about like sort of the substance abuse cycle. Tina Turner to me was a very early example of how to escape an abuse cycle. Like we learned so much about because we see people, let's say, going through drug abuse, domestic abuse, there's all kinds of abuses. But to see someone escape one is very powerful. And she was really one of the very first examples I saw of someone who didn't let their abuse cycle destroy them. She actually cut herself off from it. And this book was very much about abuse cycles and how very difficult they are to escape. A lot of times when you think you're escaping, you're just actually going a level deeper into the abuse cycle. So, shout out to Tina Turner, who's still out here and still beautiful and still thriving and still isn't defined by her abuse.
Yeah.
She's actually, I'm pretty amazing. So
shout out to all the survivors as usual, man.
To the survivors of the world.
Yeah, man,
yes.
Listen, you're still here. You're still strong.
Yes. Yes. And for everyone who did that
you.
work to get out of that.
Man, to overcome that takes some really, that takes some dedication, some tenacity and commitment. And so, and consistency is one of the hardest things I think as humans that we can even aspire to.
Yeah.
So shout out to you,
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. So yeah. So good dedication. Good
that
talk.
That was a good dedication. I like that one.
God, I did too. That was great.
Okay, so just so you know too, because even thinking about this on the way over here, I was thinking about I'm probably gonna cry during this episode.
Oh, really?
Because just I'm not crying yet, but just because thinking over some of the themes of this book got me crying.
Okay.
It's really, really emotional, and I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. So I'm gonna do another little book summary.
Okay.
A little book summary real quick here. So young Hiram Walker was born into bondage. When his mother was sold away, Hiram was robbed of all of the memory of her, but he was gifted with a mysterious power. Years later, when Hiram almost drowns in a river, that same power saves his life. This brush with death births the urgency in Hiram and the daring scheme to escape from the only home he's ever known. Whoa.
Wow.
So we were talking a little bit about talk about a survivor.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the themes in this book, that's a relative theme. It's just being born into a world that you can't participate in. And you put so much work into it, though. Everything you do, all your blood, sweat, and tears goes into... Yeah.
The task.
The tasked.
The
tasked were the people. So it was sort of like a synonym for, enslaved
slavery.
person. Yeah.
Yes, there was
a
lot of very euphemistic language for a very, very ugly system.
Yeah, you still got the gist.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
Wow, where to start? Okay, because you said themes.
Yeah, so what themes do you feel like were prevalent
you said
in here?
For me, it was water and rebirth were huge. Water's right in the title.
Sure.
But our main character, the inciting incident at the very beginning is him almost drowning with his brother who did drown. And then after coming out of that experience being I cannot be a slave anymore. I can't even pretend to be a slave anymore. I hate this a lot. I would rather die than do this anymore.
Right.
And so another one was acceptance. There's sort of a to get to the part where you're like, I have to get out of this, it's like I have to accept what is actually happening to me. I think we'd like to sort of
sugarcoat it or ignore it.
like I said, use euphemistic language, use all these
Sure.
excuses, like the fact that his father literally owned him.
Yeah, that's always crazy.
Yeah.
That whole situation. I mean, and think about the psychological torture of that.
No.
Oh,
And so
okay.
then,
Well,
the other
moving
thing-
on. We won't think about that. We won't talk. She did say she might cry. Moving on.
No. And then another thing was rape culture. There's a pretty strong rape culture and autonomy because slavery can't exist with autonomy. Like
No,
slavery and
sure can't.
autonomy are directly opposed to each other.
Yeah, man. And one of the themes I was thinking about was memory being transformative. And I saw this quote.
Oh, that
Who
was a big
this?
theme in Lovecraft Country.
So there are some similarities between that story and this, or well, not necessarily but the magical elements, like the sci-fi elements of just
like magical realism.
yes,
where you're
magical
using
realism.
magic as a sort of metaphor for what's going on because there's
no
I feel like
explanation for this in reality.
there has been a concerted effort to make us forget what has happened to us.
Yes, and the beauty of just sort of, I don't know, remembering and how that can liberate you. So I read something, I think I got this off of...
Because the people who survived this don't deserve to be forgotten.
Absolutely not. And I think in remembering, there is some power. Like, you know what I mean? Just the whole thing. So it says in an essay on race and memory, Toni Morrison wrote the stress of remembering its inevitability.
It's stressful.
But the chances for liberation that lie within the process. I just thought that was really beautiful because to me, The Water Dancer is sort of an experiment on that.
As soon as you said Toni Morrison, I was like,
I'm going to cry now, damn it.
Her books too, amazing, truthful, but very, very hard to experience. Like that was the thing. This book was incredible for sure, but it was really, really hard to experience.
Yeah, it was. Because I mean,
I was like, I had the realization I need to get back into therapy.
Damn, straight up?
Straight up.
Just because of this book?
Well, the experience of reading this book, yeah.
Damn.
We had an experience earlier this week. We were like, calm down.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but I'm on
Chill
10.
out, madam.
I wasn't even done with the book at that point.
Right.
But it had
But it's
me.
funny how that will do that, though. It takes you places. So
I don't like white supremacy.
I mean, it's not fun. It is a bummer.
It makes me angry.
Yeah, but I mean, what if memory had the power to transport, enslaved people
But that
freedom?
memory gets me mad. But that's an important part of it, I think. That's the thing, because a lot of, we hear this all the time, especially when there's a new slave movie out. They're like, I don't even want to see that because I don't want to be mad at white people.
Oh my God, y'all. So if you happen to be white listening to this, that is a real
or racialized
thing.
as white, because I will say it every time. I don't believe in white people.
And by now, if you're a listener, you know that. If you're new, you'll just have to go back and trust us on this.
Doesn't believe in whiteness.
Yeah, move on.
I'm sorry, I can tell you.
But it's basically just...
I'm going to be quiet.
No, it's fine, friend. Okay. I think you should just be yourself.
I'm going to pipe down.
What I mean? Pipe down for what? There's no one here. It's just us. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, but I've now forgotten. But I mean, basically...
No, if you have a white listener, you were going to address our white listeners.
Yeah, it is a thing where, I'm sure, people can relate to you're watching a movie, you're reading a book, you're consuming whatever kind of media, and you feel a way. You know what I mean? And so, to relive some of that can make you feel this visceral reaction and being like, oh my God, I can't go back out here and be regular now that I've seen this. Now that this is back in the forefront of my consciousness, because not remembering, just like remembering is powerful, sometimes not remembering is a tool to kind of help you cope. Because if you're always, I'm pretty sure there's a powerful, we might have to insert this later, James Baldwin quote about memory, to be an aware Negro, basically is to be enraged at all times. And because it really is when you're super aware and you're opening yourself up to these stories, it does take you places, guys. And it can be hard.
It is. So just know that going into it, because it's not like I'm not recommending this book, but just know going into it is very powerful.
Powerful.
And
it is.
I don't think I was ready.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I kind of knew the concept of it before I read it. So I figured, anytime you're talking about the, enslaved people's experiences, I was like, yep, this one's going to be a doozy.
I feel away.
Oof, yeah. So, I definitely think that it's a book that you do have to prepare yourself for, because
it does.
It's certainly heavy.
If you watched, because I would say people who would like this book are people who like Underground, the WGN show. That's fine.
But it was good.
And it was fantastic. And then, have you ever watched the film Daughters of the Dust?
Is that the one that inspired Beyonce's Lemonade?
Yes, Moni, it is.
So I've seen it in reference to hers, and I knew that was the inspiration for that. And I've seen snippets, but I've not seen the whole thing.
It's they really tap into the rape culture stuff.
Okay, that's a bummer.
It's a big part of it, though.
God damn.
Because
rape is not fun. Or that's always
it just happens when there's no autonomy, though.
Yeah, true.
Because if you can't say actually no,
no thanks, I'm gonna pass on that.
Hard pass,
not. Yeah,
hard pass. But there's there's no.
Yeah, there's no way to say that. You're entrapped. So basically,
I'm passing it back over to you. I'm going to take a quick break. I don't feel like crying.
Well, okay, don't be on the edge of tears.
I did makeup today. I'm trying to look nice. I ironed my hair out.
Oh,
if I start crying, I'll sweat.
You'll have an afro. Your lipstick will be smudged. Okay, friend, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Crying your lashes off or anything. We're not going to be there doing that. So why do you think that he used water as you think that ties into the rebirth kind of theme or that narrative as far as, because I thought that it was funny that the main character didn't realize. So he has this, so he doesn't have any recollection of how he made it out of not drowning. Right. And, through his whole journey in this book, he's sort of uncovering his powers and figuring out how to access them, how it works. And a lot of it is tied to memory. And I thought that was kind of cool because it's when you do remember, I just think about the state of just Black America, not to get all, here we go. It just feels deep and heavy.
Every time you keep saying memory and talking about healing, it makes me think about Wolverine from the X-Men comics because part of his healing factor, he has a healing factor. So, but because of his healing factor, he forgot a lot of his own origin story because it's so traumatic.
Yeah.
And so part of our minds and people, it's always so frustrating when let's say someone, it's hey, I was sexually assaulted, but then they're having trouble recalling everything. But it's when you've been through a trauma, your body does start to, you have what's called a sympathetic response. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, memory does, your body's your mind is you don't need to remember this. This is just going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
And so it cuts off access to that. So the fact that this near-death experience triggered some memories for him that his mind was deliberately suppressing to keep him functioning. Because our bodies are just trying to keep us at equilibrium. Even if even right now going through this pandemic, we're all acting pretty normal, but we're still kind of going through a trauma. So no matter what, when you're going through this stuff, water is always a great mechanism because it's always moving. It does represent rebirth, the ability to because water, even though it's soft, it's very strong. It can wear down metal over time.
Cracks.
So
it's resilient. And there's a lot of motion there.
And the fact too that he wasn't I like the fact that Hiram wasn't a perfect protagonist.
Yeah, that was nice.
To me, it's always more relatable to have someone who's also messing up, having a perfect, because he is sort of on a hero's journey, whereas he's an orphan. Well, not really an orphan, but it's almost worse than an orphan because your father doesn't see you as a full son.
And your mom's dead. So.
Is she? Oh, sorry. Whoa.
Well, in the sense.
Well, because he sold, that's the thing, your dad sold your mom off.
Yeah, and he didn't even really come to that until
that, because the thought of that is so crazy. Because, we do spoilers here.
Because it
took so long, because I was waiting to get to that part in the book where I'm what happened to his mom?
You know what? I will say that. So remind me to go back. Well, so I'll say real quick. So pause on the mom thing. Okay. But just to kind of double back on the point I was trying to make, I think that, memory serves to protect you sometimes, which you have to shut down, but it can also empower you. It can also be what builds you up. You know what I mean? Not forgetting helps you not making the same mistakes. I think about Jewish culture and how they have one of their mantras is never forget, never forget. You're not going to get to forget their story. They're going to always tell their story. You know what I'm saying? And
because we're not doing this again.
And then there's power in that because people can't rewrite your shit. You know what I'm saying? If we're putting it out there and these are the facts of the story, they go unchanged.
And that's what I think to me is why I got so triggered, because for Black people, our Nazis, if we're using a parallel between sort of Jewish people and stuff like that, like this sort of white supremacist structure is our Nazis.
Yeah, I mean, and it still exists. It's not like
right,
it
and
ever
it's not
was
over.
broken down.
That's the
like
thing.
It's still happening.
Like I'm talking about the Holocaust is still going on.
Yeah,
like this isn't sort of being in it is, that's what I'm saying. Like that's when it gets overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
But the themes of, I'm sorry.
Well, you were
I'm
talking
passing
about
back
the
to you.
mom. Yeah, so you said about, so I was making that, doubling back on that point. But as far as the mom, her being dead or
okay, so
whatever.
we were watching In Our Mother's Gardens,
Yes.
the Netflix special, and Dr. Coco was talking about how if you're Black in America, you can't have a short memory because you're singing a long song.
Yeah, you are.
And so not remembering puts you in danger.
Ooh-wee.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Because then it's like, I'm not Black, I'm OJ.
Because she was like, you hear me? Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Like, I love Dr. Coco.
Yeah.
But like, yes, that idea of because remembering is so painful, we like not to, but we have to.
It's right. So again, like that's how this book feels. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh my God, like, and I do like the fact that, you're taking this narrative of enslaved people and you're putting a silver lining in there. Because I think a lot of the time it can be so like, God damn. Like I don't want to revisit this, but at least, it's a powerful narrative and it's interesting and there's a lot of value in sharing these kinds of stories. And I do think that, as hard as it is to kind of hear them, for me, that little magical element kind of like, it gave it a really, I don't know, like I liked it. Kind of like Lovecraft Country. Like, it just gave it that little bit of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I see you.
I think that now that we're like in a place now in history where we're trying to get this history in the forefront, because one of the things I really enjoyed about the book was the attention put to the underground and how organized it was.
Yeah.
And the fact that we really don't know a lot, as much as we could know about it because it was so clandestine.
Yeah.
Like, because it had to be. Like, this was basically an illegal pirate organization that was running underneath the radar of the United States government.
Right.
And it's interesting to me that what it reminded me a lot of was, because you remember me talking about like George Washington's slave, Ona Judge.
Yeah.
And I always want to say her name, like it's, like we did with Sandra Bland. It's like, say her name. Like it's too, these people are too important to just forget about.
We'll just say who she is real quick for those who may
Ona
not know.
Judge was, she was an enslaved person who George Washington and Martha Washington thought they owned. They were wrong. They did not own her. And she was able to get away from them and she died a free woman. They never caught her. But the reason she was able to escape was because of the Underground Railroad.
Nice.
Which was a highly organized system of getting enslaved people out of the South.
Fuck out of there.
Which the descriptions of like, because and it seemed like the deeper south you go,
the worse,
the more hellish it became. And it was another level of difficulty for me, because when I was listening to this book, I was actually traveling south to visit family. My mom's side of the family is from the South. Like, I'm technically in the North. Like, I've grown up in what wouldn't have been a slave state, but my mom was from what would have been a slave state. And so this would have been like a state that actively fought for the right to keep slaves. Like, no matter what they say, that's what the Civil War was about.
You can Google
and
that.
So it is different there. Like, while I was down there, I'm like, this is palpably different. Like, I can...
I'm looking at you like...
And it's not like it's great here. And it's worse there. And just, like, and then I'm like, I don't know what to do. Because it's like, because I don't this is terrible, but like, what do you do?
There's nothing to be done. I mean, like, you withstand it just like everything else. I mean, it just...
Moni, I need better answers than that.
I wish I had them. But also, too, at the end of the book, I like that he referenced the fact that he used a book called The Underground Railroad Records. And so, like, a lot of the detailed accounts of, like, how that actual network worked came from that particular book. And it just...
And it's a missing part of American history. Like, the part that this isn't covered more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally interrupted you. I pulled up the book and it says that featuring a powerful introduction by Ta-Nehisi Coates. So he does an intro on this book, the Underground Railroad Records book. He does an intro, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's very
cool. But that would explain why it was so well written. I think it was very detailed in the way that he described it.
This is a very well crafted narrative.
Who is this? William.
I will say one of my criticisms for the audiobook was the narrator singing the slave songs.
Oh,
did not like that. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Well, wait.
For one thing, one person singing a slave song sounds oppressive. They're made for a chorus.
Okay. All right. So the logistics were just off.
It was just off. And I kind of wanted to just read the book and not listen to it, but like my lifestyle didn't allow for that.
No,
so I had to listen to it, and that is why we kind of both sped it up. We both said like we listened to it.
The song was like I started cracking up actually. I didn't go straight to anger. I had to laugh first. I was like, oh my gosh.
I would skip ahead 30 seconds.
Like how do we know that's how it sounds? Like my thing is like, did you just make the melody up? Like I'm a little impressed that you just came up with that.
I also don't like it when authors, like male.
Was that him?
Who?
Was that Ta-Nehisi Coates?
I don't think so. I think it was read by somebody else.
Yeah.
But the narrator, I can't remember his name because overall he did a good job.
Yeah,
I don't want to like
say
shit
that
on
too.
him.
He did.
But I didn't like him doing the women's voices and like sort of doing the slave patois. Hiram? No.
But I mean, you're reading it like that, so I get it. Because sometimes to me, like if I'm reading a different,
that's why I'm saying, like, if I probably would have enjoyed the experience more if I was just reading it instead of listening to that.
Yeah.
Like I said,
that didn't bother me as much as the singing. Hands down, the singing was like the worst part. You know what I mean? But, for sure, like, keep that in mind if you do listen to it. It might offend your sensibilities to hear that man sing them old spirituals, Negro spirituals.
I was singing slave songs the other day with my grandma.
Why?
Though. She wanted to
with your grandma.
Yes.
I was saying why before I heard you say with my grandma. But wait, why slave songs?
I don't know how we got on the. Well, I mean,
what? Sing one now.
I gotta roll. You gotta roll.
All of God's children gotta roll. Oh, yes. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my robe and gonna shout all over God's heaven. Lord, heaven, yeah, heaven, Lord.
So see, listeners, that's what it was like.
Oh my God, you can skip past that part, guys.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Like there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Like that wasn't a song from the book, but that's just an old Negro spiritual about like slaves singing about like what heaven's going to be like for them.
Oh my gosh, right? Because I can't even think about reality. Because
like it's when I get to heaven, going to put on my robe, going to put on my shoes, going to put on my wings and fly all over God's heaven.
I'm going to take a nice warm shower.
She wanted to sing it, so
No, that's what's up. I respect it.
I sang it with grandma and stuff like that. But it's like, all these sort of like Negro spirituals.
I pictured you just being at home singing old Negro spirituals. So I just need to understand.
Once again, when I'm at home, I'm usually singing trap music.
Okay, grandma, you listen, you get the pass or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, old Negro spirituals, you have to be in the mood and you do need company for that. Like it's a little bit sad to just hear that or do that by yourself. So, wouldn't recommend it. It's kind of a bummer.
And that's the thing too, because I feel like a lot of slave history is that sort of and then people are like, ew. And so, like, I don't feel like being oppressed right now. But it does.
How do we tell our stories, though, without, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, without being a bummer to everybody. It's like, I'm sorry that the reality of my history is such a fucking bummer, but it happened. And we had to sing songs to make it better during the time. And it helped us remember.
And communicate coded language so white people don't know what we're talking about.
And it still happens now.
Sure does.
Because how did Skeeting Walls and stuff get into, like, mainstream songs? To the sweat drops down my balls.
I was like, motherfucker. It's like, wow. I was like, this is on 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Tell me that the executives knew that that's what skeeting meant. So I love how we went from Negro spirituals to skeeting. You guys are welcome.
I mean, everything is, because let's go back to rape culture.
Oh, no. Another depressing one. Okay, I thought we were moving past that.
Because so much of that, because one of the main characters was Hiram's love interest, Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
And who's an enslaved person as well on the plantation. And she was owned by his uncle.
Okay.
And he just used her for sexual pleasure, made sure he made her dress up kind of like a lady of the time, so like a Southern belle. Moni gave me the Kermit face.
Fuck that. But go ahead.
It was a survival tool because we haven't given a synopsis of the book. Do you want to do like a beat by beat? Well, no, just a beat by beat what happens because it's like Hiram is the main character. He his task is to take care of his brother who's legitimate heir of the plantation, even though they both have the same father.
And he's a fuck up.
And he's a fuck up, even though Hiram is literally a genius, but he's not able to take over the plantation because he's born of a slave. So he's
a Negro.
He's half nigger. So he
not
could
the hard
never
R.
Yeah. Because that's what it was, Moni.
Wow.
I'm using the hard R because he was legally a nigger. So he could not inherit property.
Okay, go.
So his brother, was it Maynard?
Maynard, yeah.
Yes, Maynard was and actually Maynard, in my mind, I always pictured him looking like Trump. Because, because the way he was described in the book was that he never fit into sort of like proper society because he was too crass.
I don't know why I picture old boy from Talladega Nights.
Will Ferrell?
No, the other
one?
The
Shake and Bake?
Yeah, I don't know why though.
Sure, let's go with him. And so it was this idea of he was too lowbrow for society, but it was because he was too straightforward with his stuff. He was like, yeah, I like whores and I like abusing niggers. What's the problem?
Yeah,
and everyone's like, well, we all like that
we
stuff
just
as
like
well,
to
but we do it over sherry and cognac. And he was like, nah, I ain't
I'm
trying
do right here.
Yeah, I'm doing right here.
Yeah.
And so it's this sort of thing where I feel like a lot of people, like Trump, his followers were like, I don't feel like acting like I'm not racist. I am.
I'm tired.
I'm tired of acting like I'm civilized. I'm not.
Yeah,
and
it was big Trump energy.
It was. So, and also because that energy's lazy, he never got around to learning how to swim,
Wow.
so he drowned. And and swimming is one of those things where it's like, I can't save you. Like, I have to.
No, you sure can't.
It's like we're both like at the it reminded me a lot of Their Eyes Were Watching God, like in that scene where that was the main characters there, where they realized when that hurricane, when they were about to drown, they're like, we're watching God right now.
Wow.
Like, so in this thing right here,
Zora Neale Hurston, right?
yes.
Yeah,
so in that moment, like he doesn't even remember how he saved himself. Like, he just knows that he woke up somewhere, but it's like, I cannot save you in this moment right now. It's dark, it's cold, we're drowning to
And you're
death.
a grown-ass man drowning. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
He's like, save me, Hiram.
Yeah, it's like,
He's
man,
like, I can't. And I kind of don't want to.
Well, and I mean, not that I want to see you die. Did he want to see him die?
It's hard because when your master
You probably
dies, it
do.
kind of makes your life worse.
It makes it...
Because that was a big theme of the
Yeah.
book as well, was like when your master dies or if there's any kind of financial trouble on the plantation, your family gets sold off.
Man, that was the theme too about just like that, families being ripped apart and just how that kind of, I mean, that's always really painful to read about.
You know what's really fun about slavery apologists? Because there's still
Whoa.
some out there that like slavery that was one of the things the Duck Dynasty uncle got in trouble for. Because he
did
was
he?
like saying like things were better for Black people under slavery.
Oh, wow.
Because at least they had jobs
At least
and
lazy niggers
their
had
families
jobs.
were together. It's not
Okay.
like now, but it's like
Straight up, were they?
Straight up, no, they weren't.
Fuck outta here,
Yeah, it was. George Washington also used that strategy a lot to keep his slaves in line. He would separate the family so they wouldn't run off.
Well, or you send off the guy and then you impregnate the girl so she doesn't want to leave. So that, she has collateral like there on the
They
plantation.
tie you to. I call it breeding hostages.
Yeah. That's
Like
basically
you're
what it is.
literally breeding hostages.
That shit is
because
wild,
It
man.
was.
Okay, so finish the synopsis. So we got to the point where old boy died.
Yes, there's
in the
the
river.
inciting incidents where Hiram, our main character, an enslaved man who is owned by his brother and father, basically, because he's tied to the land. His younger brother dies in the river. He is then, in that moment decides he cannot participate in slavery anymore as a slave. So he goes to a man in a free town, a free man of color, and being like, hey, I heard you have connections to the underground. Help me. Turns out that was a decoy. That man's name was George.
He was the ops.
And he was actually working for the white people to tattle on
runaways,
people who
yeah.
were
He
trying
was
to
a
slave.
snitch.
And so he immediately gets captured. He's trying to take his girl Sophia with him, who is also owned by his uncle and just being used as like a fuck rag.
Ew.
But that's what it is though.
Yeah.
And so they try to run off together because he's in love with her, or he calls himself in love with her.
He's
You know what I'm
19,
saying?
yeah.
Like, yeah. And so they run off, immediately get caught. What was funny to me was that we don't find out till later. Sophia's master didn't even find out she ran off. He was like, "Hey, you got caught immediately. How about we just don't
Pretend
even tell
like this
him
never
you didn't even happen?"
I know that's right.
But for Hiram, he gets brought back, finds out that his sister-in-law was actually in the underground and she owns him now and wants him to be an operative for the underground. Works for the underground for a while, ends up coming back to the plantation after meeting Harriet Tubman.
AKA Moses.
AKA Moses. I always wanted to point out, too, like, the biblical Moses should be called the Jewish Harriet Tubman. But, like, that was the thing. Like, he works for them for a while, comes back to the plantation, decides he wants to take back his surrogate mother, Thea, and Sophia, get them out. When he comes back, Sophia's already had a baby by his uncle.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, damn, I kind of feel away. I don't really feel like taking care of another man's child. But it's kind of like, she's like, what do you expect from me? What am I supposed to do?
It's like, bitch, I already told you could never be mine. I could never be yours.
Right.
Like, I told you that. And that is the thing
you know what
about
thing I
possession.
did
and
like,
possessing.
too, was the fact that our main character wasn't, like, super, like, well, this is all in Jesus's hands. He was like, nah, it's kind of in my hands. Like, he's not taking this sort of
traditional narrative
of this. He was kind of like, yeah, I ain't going for all that, but I know I need to get up out of here.
Yeah.
And I can't enjoy my freedom knowing that these people are still in hell.
Who I love, yeah. It was just a good story.
Yeah, and so it ends up his daddy dies. He ends up getting
wasn't he the executor kind of still over? Like since the sister-in-law,
Quinn,
quote,
yeah,
owned him or whatever.
Yeah.
She basically turned the whole plantation into like an underground station or whatever.
Right.
And they were
Which
able
was
to kind of like
very
the good
interesting.
work.
But it would have been it reminds me now, in fact, like, because you see how, like, they're taking down, like, the Confederate statue of, like, Robert E. Lee and stuff like that. It's like, and I'm not saying, like, we should replace the statues, because I think statues are kind of weird.
They're just dumb anyway.
Yeah.
Put them in a museum. Like, I mean, like, you have to want to see that. I don't care.
To me, it's like a remnant of idolatry.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really need to worship
kind of weird.
people.
It's kind of weird. this is random. I was downtown last night on the Circle, and it was 9/11 yesterday. So we were walking. I was with my husband. I was stopping and like reading and Googling like each person that there was a statue of. Like, who is this person? You know? So, and it is kind of weird. Yeah. Like a plaque would be sufficient. Like, I don't know why I need to see this weird ass physical, you know what I mean? Like the fuck? Because it's like, I don't need it. You know, it didn't enhance my life in any kind of way.
There's this ugly ass statue in Nashville of Bedford Forrest. Like the guy that Forrest Gump was named after.
Oh, straight up.
And he's surrounded by like all these Confederate flags. And it's like this really ugly ass sculpture. Like, I think John Oliver described it as like, it looks like a nickel did cocaine.
Whoa.
So it's this crazy, ugly sculpture, but like they can't take it down because it's on private land. But you can see it off the highway and stuff. Because that's what I'm saying. Like the South is different.
Yeah, man.
I remember like, this shit is gross.
Yeah,
like, but they're so proud of it though. Where it's like, and then Trump talking about like, Robert E. Lee, he would have won the war in Afghanistan. It's like he lost in fucking Boston.
Win this one, right? Like, what the hell are you talking about,
like,
sir? Shut the fuck up.
He couldn't take Boston. You think he could take the Swat Valley?
Fuck out of here.
No.
Oh God.
First off, he'd have been crispy after day 3.
My God, please stop. Just stop.
Sorry.
Right, he'd have been sunburned and dead. So yeah, overall, I feel like, like I said, I like the book. I do think that the themes were heavy. There was a lot of, really tough themes in this book. But overall, I think the story was nice. There were parts to me that could have been faster getting to the point. Like there were some lags in the narrative a little bit, but nothing that I was entertained. I liked it.
I was crying a lot. And I would recommend this to anyone who's already in therapy.
Oh.
Because like, to me, it sent me.
Dang.
But I'm sensitive.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But I was like, dang, I didn't know this. See, we're just now talking about it.
Right. I had to keep it behind
information.
I was like,
I'm sorry, I unraveled you, friend.
Really, really, really struggling with a lot of this stuff. Because it was like, to me, the way I view things, so much of our theology is also linked to white supremacy, at least here in America.
Oh,
so
God,
that's
yeah,
why
that's
it
really
had me
tough.
super, super in my fifis.
In your fifis. Aw, that baby was
I
sad.
know.
About
I know. I do a
slavery.
lot of self-care.
Well, good for. I'm glad.
I
That's
did.
good.
I
It's good
did.
recognizing that.
Yeah.
And so then, if you had to rate the book, do you have anything cute or funny for that?
I said 5 tasks.
Oh wow. I'm gonna say I give it 5 water dances.
Oh,
I'ma give
good.
it
Like 5 jugs.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I did like the description of the water dancing. That was
Yeah,
really
it was
beautiful.
Yeah, it's like a
And
callback to your ancestors
It
in a way. And
is.
just
Like they
your
were talking about an
memories.
African king. I'm like, I love a good African king.
Yeah, man. It was very good. It was very lyrical and
Mhm.
poetic.
I said it was poetic, yeah.
in the way that it was written. So there was lots.
Because I said
of
you
parts
have
that
to
were
pay
beautiful.
attention. Like you can't zone out.
Yeah, you can't be fucking around with
Because
this
I
one, guys.
actually did have to rewind it at a certain point because I had zoned out a little.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I was riding my bike listening to this.
I
Can
was
you
going to
imagine?
ask if you still were riding your bike.
Yeah, I have been. The last few days I haven't, but yeah, I pretty much got done with this in about a week because I was able to get decent chunks every morning.
It was
and
14
I'm just focusing on not dying.
hours.
So yeah, so it was
14 hours.
It's a long. It's a long one. It's a long one.
I definitely recommend it, especially if you're like a history buff. Because
Okay.
to me, it was like, let's just say, do you know what Sarah Vowell is?
No.
She writes these kind of like quirky historical. They're not even novels. They're
Like short stories?
explorations.
Mm.
Yeah, they're like collections of short stories. Like she
Mhm.
goes on these explorations. It's a history buff and writes little quirky little stuff. She's like a
Okay.
little weirdo. I like her.
Okay. Well, listen. Shout out to you. I've never
Sarah
heard of her in my
Vowell.
life.
Like, so
Yeah.
if you like her stuff, you would like, this is a dramatization of something she would describe,
Okay.
but you do have to be ready for a
The
full,
deep dive into just despair.
full on, yes, the trauma and abuse that was slavery. It wasn't something cute. It wasn't like, oh, was it that bad? Yeah, it was that bad.
It was that bad. And that's why it's important to share those stories because, yes, it was that bad and probably worse than anything you
Once
could imagine.
again, like,
so,
because there were always, with any abused person, I promise you, there's something they didn't tell you.
yeah. Oh, right. Again, I'm trying to save you from that shit. So, okay. So we're going to take a break. But before we do that, we want to invite you guys to reach out to us on our Instagram, the Fab Podcast. And also, if you guys have book recommendations, want to share any cool stories.
And we're on YouTube now.
We are on YouTube now, which what's on YouTube?
I don't know.
Club. See, don't say it then. We'll put
like
it in the
if you
thing.
search it, you'll find us.
Will
If
you?
you put Fab Podcast, yeah.
Well, because everyone's searching it. I feel like it can be hard to find.
It's
Okay, so
there.
maybe you can find it. We'll put it in the description. How about that? We'll put like a link.
And Linktree. It's on our Linktree.
That's true. Yeah, go to our Linktree. That's
If you go to
also
the
on
Linktree, it'll take you straight to the YouTube page.
Yes, absolutely. And you guys can always reach out via email at thefabpodcast@gmail.com. Again, like if you guys have books you want us to review, if you have subject matters you guys would want us to talk about, if you want to tell us how much you love us, don't like us, whatever, we want to hear from you. Actually, yeah, I'll take it. I'll receive all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just reach out. So,
Because my cousin did give us a book suggestion. I told her to put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. Yeah, so reach out to us, guys. We're going to take a quick break, come right back, and then we're going to wrap this shit up, yo.
Yeah, break.
Okay, guys, so it's that time again. We are going to spin the wheel to see what we're going to read about next time or talk about next time. So, spin it!
Whoa, look at it go.
Woo! Okay. So it landed on Beautiful
I love
by
this title.
Sylvia Hubbard. And some of you may be asking, who is Sylvia Hubbard? Or some of you might say, oh my God, I already know who she is, you know? Because she
True.
is a well-established author.
This will be brand new for me. I like it when we go into books where neither one of us have read it yet.
I know. You know what? I disagree. I like going into stuff feeling like I kind of know what's going on here.
I feel like it's fresher.
It is. It's true.
So we're going to be both going into this with fresh eyes. Neither one of us will have an advantage.
That's true.
You will have a
I like
slight advantage
advantages.
because you know the author.
I do, but honestly, I haven't seen her since I was, like
Advantage
10,
Moni.
11, 12 years old or something like
Still.
that. So, but yes, I do know her personally. She is a fantastic human. She's probably one of, arguably one of the most influential people in my formative years, being in front of her. She was in college. She actually used to watch us sometimes. She was like a neighbor, and she was really into reading. She got me into reading, actually, and kind of helped me develop a love for, books and learning and reading. So shout out to her for that.
I appreciate that.
So I was able to, reach out to her and come in contact with her, and she wanted to be on the show. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to kind of reconnect and talk about the art that she's making and what it is that she does. Because I'm truly fascinated. An author, she's self-published. I mean, she's out here doing it. So I'm really curious to read her book. I'm very excited. And I can't wait for you guys to meet her and for us to kind of talk with her. I think we're going to try to have her on the show too. So
that'll be
just
beautiful.
Fun. Oh my gosh, I see what you did there, friend. Look at you. Look at you.
So clever.
Yeah, you are. So guys, please come back and join us. This will be fun. This will be kind of like out of the realm of what we normally read, because she's kind of in the genre of romance novels and stuff like that, which, to love and romance
it'll see if it'll awaken something in me, because I feel to be dead inside.
Yeah, I don't know. But we'll see. We're gonna give it a whirl, Sylvia. We're gonna see what we can do here. So this should be fun, you guys. I'm really excited about this. So I think that's it. I think we're going to just, it's probably time to wrap this shit up. We got stuff to do. So,
solid agree.
Guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. We're going to check you out next time. So holla at us.
Gratitude.
Bye. All right, guys.
What a break.
I know that was a great break. And I am super excited about our book selection for next time.
Yeah,
so
should be very exciting.
that was a lot, friend. I feel that was like a little junior therapy session.
I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface.
We didn't, but that's okay though.
Yeah.
Because we should just, we had discussed maybe doing episodes that weren't quite in depth. And that does still encourage people to go out and read it. But you guys get the gist of it. We're just trying to give you our sort of like, okay, what we thought about it, what we liked, what we didn't like. And, just kind of catching up, friend, and,
Yeah. I'm glad to finally get this off my chest. I feel like
now you can release it into the water. And you can do your dance.
We finally talk about it for real, because we'll probably talk later about it too.
Yeah, we definitely will. I liked it though. Yeah, so guys, thanks again for joining us for another fantastic episode of the Fake Ass Book Club.
You're the real heroes.
You guys really are. We appreciate you as always. And come on back. Y'all got to come back. Yeah. Check us out. Peace.
Yeah.
Before we go, we must give thanks to our sound engineer, Eric Dizzy from Dorian Keith Media,
to Urban Nerd for providing our music.
Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media,
and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins.
If you like what you heard,
please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another Fake Ass Book Club. Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.